Hey guys, thought I'd maybe start a new little series called maybe Rockets and Rambles or something like that. I'm just pressing up a bunch of rockets for a sweet rocket volley at the end of the fireworks show this year. Got a bunch here. It's pretty boring when you're pressing up so many, but thought I'd do some rambling to kind of pass the time. So, I guess in this episode, I'll be kind of talking about, that stigma in fireworks. Your neighbors, you're shooting off fireworks with your neighbors around or 4th of July time, you're on the street, whatever, shooting off fireworks, and there's just always that weird stigma of like competitiveness. Some people kind of find shooting off fireworks together in public to be almost like a show of force or like some kind of competition, Now, most people, especially older people, kind of understand that, it's just kind of a funny thing when you're hoo-hawing around, hollering, I'll show you, that was nothing, watch this, and you shoot off a cake or whatever. Well, I remember like when I was a kid, I was at that weird stage, where it's probably like puberty, where things started to get a little more serious, taking things more serious, like, for example, in that case, we've always kind of got about $1,000 worth of consumer grade fireworks every year for the 4th of July, and we shoot them off at the lake. It's a small lake, but there's quite a few houses around that I'm sure appreciate it, and they shoot off stuff too. But I remember I was probably, like 12 or something. We're shooting off fireworks, and I'm just taking it like it's like we're a sports team or something, and we gotta one up the people around the lake, and I'm not really enjoying it. It's just more of I'm treating it like a sport, I'm sure you can relate. But me and my friend there, were hollering like, oh yeah, man, well watch this, and go get the big 500-gram cake to show them up after they shot off a Roman candle or something, like. But it's just kind of hilarious looking back on that kind of thing. And not too long ago, something funny happened, kind of related to that. It was during the daytime on the 4th of July. We were, had our stuff, all set up and ready for the night to shoot it off. And like I said, we're doing this on a lake, so lots of people in float boats going by, and, they can see that we're going to have a little show at night. And, it's nothing special. We just threw a bunch of cakes out in the grass, you know, they're not even wired up remotely or anything, and just hand lighting mortars and just that kind of show, just a real small scale show. But there's a few years in a row now, there's been a house down at the other end of the lake that is put together some pretty nice shows. I guess the guy that owns the property has his license and, you know, gets some of the 1.3 professional grade stuff. And I would say pretty consistently every year he's about done like a $10,000 show, I would say. You know, all the works to it, electronically fired, and, you know, good tempo on it. I mean, a good show, really. And so most of the time he actually doesn't do the show at the same time we do. I don't know if that was because of just luck or what it was, but that made it kind of nice, because then we could enjoy our stuff, and then like the next day or whatever, get in the boat at night and just sit in the middle of the lake and watch everyone shoot their stuff off along with him doing a show. And it was pretty awesome. But I don't think about it much anymore, that competitive aspect to shooting off fireworks. But what was really hilarious was one year, this float boat went by. You know, we're swimming or maybe setting up the fireworks or something, and this is during daytime, and there was a kid on the boat, probably around 12, and he yells out, he's like, you better get ready for tonight. And that was just, I thought that was just so hilarious. And it just really brought me back to the, you know, those good old times when, you know, we, as a kid, weren't really enjoying the fireworks. There's just that competitive nature to it we were fixated on. But yeah, I thought that was so hilarious for some reason. And yeah, I don't know what made me think of that just today, but I thought I'd kind of share the story. I really like their shows because they actually get 2 or 3 of those water cakes. If you don't know what those are, they're actually cakes angled and specifically designed to shoot these floating shells in the water that from there do various things. You know, you could have ones that they deploy in the water, and a few seconds after landing in there, once they get kind of oriented up, sort of like a bobber, they might shoot off like a shell into the air that's like a crossette or something. So you have this big volley of crossettes going off in the middle of the lake, and it's like super cool. Or you know, just simple fountains and stuff that float on the water. Pretty sweet stuff, man. But it was pretty funny because like one I gotta try to concentrate so I don't accidentally do like a double load thing and then the rocket explodes. But so one year, you know, we were out there, my whole family, on the pontoon boat watching this guy's fireworks show, and there were other pontoon boats around watching the show. And what happened was, at the end of the show, he sets off the finale, and it was awesome. But then, momentarily afterwards, after everyone cheered and clapped, this guy was like, "Nice show, Dick." And for a second I was like, what the heck, man? He did not just say that. But come to find out, his name actually is Dick, and I guess a bunch of people around that area of the lake chipped in to pay for his show there. So he was actually being sincere, but it was it was kind of funny. I don't know, but yeah. Well, I'm starting to get close to the point where I need to concentrate a little bit more, as I'm making mistakes here, as you can see, probably. Okay, well, now that I'm past that part, the delay stage, I kind of have to try to concentrate. 6 increments. My smooth brain tends to stop counting after 2 and just starting thinking of other random things, so I forget what increment I'm on. But yeah, I pressed this up and figured, we can talk about some more stuff while I'm putting the heading on there. I don't know if I'll be able to film this very well because I'm going to be using 2 hands and the camera's just going to be hanging, but ignore that one for now. Okay, yeah, these shells are going to be... I know these are going to work good, but the question is, are they going to make it up there? I don't know. So, I thought maybe I would talk about other dangerous things, because apparently all my hobbies are dangerous, according to my family. And yeah, I guess I just find dangerous stuff exciting for some reason. But so I will say I really like heights and roller coasters, especially. I love the feeling of my stomach in my throat. The butterfly feeling there, and falling sensation, whatever. Now that I'm grown up, I'm not really scared of any roller coaster. I've been on, the craziest kinds, and but I have no fear of heights. But something really weird happened the last time I was at a theme park. One of my family members was like, "Well, I don't want to go on any roller coasters with you, but I'll go on a Ferris wheel." So I was like, okay, Ferris wheels are, kind of boring in my opinion. But I was like, yeah, okay. I haven't been on a Ferris wheel in a while. But the thing about it was, yeah, I hadn't been on a Ferris wheel in a while, but I was actually scared. It surprised me. And I think the reason I was scared was because I was on roller coasters that had been dropping, over 200 feet in the air all day, and feeling that sensation all day. When the Ferris wheel, was at its highest point, and I'm, way up there in the air, 200 feet in the air, whatever. This is a big Ferris wheel. I just got this impending doom feeling every time the thing cycled around. And I was up there, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna fall. It was a physical, response, I think. Just going on roller coasters all day that were dropping out of the sky, I just felt like something was gonna happen. And I want to say you would probably agree with me that feeling the sensation of falling on a Ferris wheel is probably not good. in the event that happens. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I used to actually... Oops, I screwed up already. Well, that's fine, that's an easy fix. See, I didn't cut my tube yet. I was supposed to cut the tube before I put it on, but this hot glue will dry and I will peel it off like sunburn, I guess. Let's see, what was I gonna talk about? Dangerous things. Dangerous things. Oh, this is a, what is this called? I can't remember what this thing's called, but, it's pretty good for when you want to cut straight lines and tubes. Except I'm starting to wear it out, as you can see there. So I gotta be more attentive when I'm cutting. Dangerous things. Making rockets while filming. Multitasking. Try to do this without the camera going crazy. You probably can't see what's going on. I can't really either. I might cut this part. Well, it turns out I did not cut it straight this time. I wonder why. But that's fine. We can do this thing where I just take some scissors and trim it like this to make it a little more flush when we put the heading on there. So we don't have any wonk, in theory, when it goes up. But anyway, dangerous things. This is pretty dangerous. I mean, also rambling while racing in an F1 car would be dangerous. So, I used to do this thing. I was probably in my early 20s when I was doing it a lot. But, after work, I just thought it was the bee's knees to go and jump off this bridge into a river near my house. Because, you know, the sensation of falling or whatever. And the first time I did it, man, oh, that was the best. I don't know what it was, but for some reason the first time was the best. Because I felt like I was falling forever, and that sensation was never going to go away. I felt like I was being tickled, like a tickle attack or something. But, yeah, so I did that for a while. I even got the courage up to, like, start doing different types of flips off the bridge into the water, which could be dangerous, 15 meters in the air, believe it or not. What do they say? It's like hitting concrete when you fall into water from really high up. That's not really the case here, but I mean, there's people that have like fractured ribs and stuff. You know, you don't want to belly flop that high. Let's just say that. But man, that was fun. And like the caring, loving mom that I have, she thought I was gonna go to prison and get arrested for doing that, but I would have to say this is probably a little worse. Okay, let's see if we can do this properly this time. And speaking of seeing, I hope you can see this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this in some very nice This is some very delicious stuff right here. It is chlorate universal black powder prime. I use this for a lot of things, and having potassium chlorate in it and sulfur, this stuff ignites really easily, and that's what I want to happen right there. The camera is not focusing. It's a fuse, if you can't see. But yes, we want some good pass fire, so this is what I've been doing. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but I also cut the fuse. I cut the fuse at a diagonal to expose more of the innards, more surface area for the fire to catch. I got that technique from Display Fireworks 1. Yeah, I pretty much cut all my fuse at angles for that reason. Okay, this is also what I've been doing. So we're not using a bulkhead. That's just straight whistle right there. And it's been working for me. So, fuse touching the fuel grain. I am sorry for this out of focus video. Okay, so I've been taking a little bit of the prime and putifying it right there, just to help this to work, hopefully, I don't know. And then we put it on. So, the most important thing is putting it on straight, because I would have to say we want our rockets to fly in the direction they're pointing. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. Let's get some of this powder off of here, because hot glue and that do not mix very well. Oh, by the way, you're pretty safe here. As I touch this electrical device to this fuse-coated and very sensitive prime. This is a technique used by a lot of people. Hot glue near gunpowder. So we put a donut ring around there, and get a nice seal. Don't want that dripping in there. Okay. And then you just put it on there without the hot glue cobwebs going in there. I don't know if I caught that, but okay. I'm gonna let it cool and solidify there while it's in the proper. I'm rotating it to make sure it's like on there nice and symmetrical or something. Okay, so now that it's had time to cure, what I usually do is I take a roll of tape, you see here. I take a roll of tape. I put the vise up carefully. Not the vise, the press. And kind of use this as a jig while it's gonna dry or cool. And we carefully apply a little bit of pressure and just kind of, hopefully that doesn't, you know what, we have the technology to allow this to not fail, so there we go. Okay, let's see, I'm just kind of eyeballing this like you would a teddy bear claw machine. Kind of look from this side here and this side, and oh my god, that actually looks pretty good. So, sweet. Now we just add more glue. And this heading is not going to fall off. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't jinx me here. Speaking of claw machines, don't you just hate it when they put it in the corner of a room so you can't cheese it and like look around the sides, you know? Get that X and Y or Z axis, whatever. I was pretty good at those machines when I was a child. Yes, I was. Now, my coworkers thought I was autistic, which I am, for doing this, but after work, being an adult that I am, I would go to Sky Zone and jump on the trampolines with the kiddos. I'm not a pedophile. I actually enjoy doing flips and stuff. And I actually had a friend that would accompany me, would drive quite a ways just to jump on the trampolines with me, and they actually put something in just recently in this memory, 7 years ago. They put something in that they didn't have right in the middle of the room filled with trampolines. They put in a big foam block the size of a car, and that thing was so fun because you could do a bunch of front flips all the way across the room, you know, onto each trampoline, and then do a flip up onto that raised surface. This isn't tall enough, but yeah, you go flip, 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 and then you could, you know, do a crazier flip off, which was pretty cool. But one time, something happened. Oh, let me tell you, something happened. You know, I was doing front flips like I've done plenty of times. I was gonna do front flip, front flip, front flip onto the big hard foam tube. But something horrible happened. When I landed on the closest trampoline here, ready to do a front flip on top of this, something happened and I must have over-rotated the front flip from this trampoline, and my chest might have been too far angled forward because, well, I realized that at the last moment and decided to bail out of the flip, but I was already launching forward like a rocket. And in this scenario, you do not want that to happen. Right into this hard foam block. And you see, I scorpioned really bad, and that is when, okay, let's say this is the front of my face, my finger up there, and these are my feet, my palm. Well, I hit it with my chest, and my feet nearly touched the back of my head. So, yeah, that hurt a lot. Like the big, strong human that I am, I, you know, got up and, the lady right next to me was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And, you know, the tough guy I am, I was, okay, yeah, I was definitely okay. And, just kept doing flips and stuff. My God, I hurt myself bad. And, the funniest thing about it was, I go to work the next day wearing a back support brace, and, one of my coworkers, now keep in mind this guy is like from the hood, so you know, I'm just like a white guy, so you know, I it's hard for me to kind of like speak their lingo or whatever, but he was like, I told him the story, and he was like, "What did you say after it happened?" And I was like, I said, ouch! And he thought that was the funniest thing ever because, you know, I'm not a black guy and, you know. But, yeah, that was pretty hilarious, you know. It was pretty awkward talking to him because, you know, I'd say things like, I would joke around with him. We always joked around, and I'd be like, you'd tell me something, and, you know, I'm standing there like, yeah, man, and, gosh, you know, like, it was pretty funny, just being awkward on purpose, but, yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of go around and make sure we don't have any holes in our boat. We wouldn't want any fire making it through to the spoolette there. This is going to be going off in a volley. In fact, I saved this giant water heater box for that purpose. I have 7 of these big bad boys going off for the finale. Stay tuned for that. Make sure to look out for that video. Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's on there. That's good. If you're curious, this shell, I labeled it purple. But what it really is one of the many similar shells that'll be going off at the same time. It is a purple, it has a purple pistol, however you want to say that word. Central peony looking thing. And the outer perimeter, it has these really cool firefly glitter stars. It's going to be like this gold glitter. At first, it'll be like a tiger tail, so just like look like black powder tails. But then all of a sudden, you have this firefly effect where that tail begins to start to sparkle white flashes, and eventually makes its way down to the tips or whatever. My battery's running low. And I'm sure your patience is too. This video is 16 minutes long, and I do believe the average human attention span is like, oh, it's probably less now, but 10 minutes is what I saw. But, what are we doing? Oh, yeah, I made a bunch of Firefly aluminum composition, and despite the horrific struggles in that process, I think it turned out really good. I shot off one of these shells. It exploded on the ground, but that gave me a good enough idea of the fact that it'll look really cool when it goes right in the sky up there. So yeah, I'm excited. Well, we'll just see how much we can get through of this, making this rocket here, until my battery decides to fail. Okay, what's next? Stabilizing sticks. That would help it. I accidentally got the wrong size, or length rather, but it's fine. It'll work. I usually cut them anyway to about this length. Now, if you were having a hard time seeing before, it's gonna get a lot worse here, I'm telling you. Okay, let's see if I can. You look at which way it's bending. I really gotta adjust some settings on this camera, I think. Autofocus is on, but it's not performing its function. That has quite a bit of bend to it. I might actually not use that one for this. Okay, that one looks better. So, I guess you're supposed to put the bend inward. So, like this, the stick at the end is bending this way. I don't know what that does. I guess it helps it not to gyro, like rotate while it's going up, but honestly I think that's a good thing. But whatever, we'll do it just for consistency reasons. Always keep things consistent. I've had a couple people comment and say, why do you put your sticks like barely hanging on down here? You know, most people mount their sticks all the way to the top. Well, I figure, you know, kind of the point of the stick is to get weight way out there, you know. And so I figure, like, why add a bunch of weight all the way up to here, unnecessary weight, when you can get away with securely fastening it to here. I have never had any of the motors rip off the stick doing this, so that is why, I guess. Yeah. Alright. That one has no bend in it, surprisingly. I use a lot of hot glue, let me tell you what. It doesn't take long to dry with this low temperature hot glue, so that's kind of nice. I'll probably get a high temp one eventually, but this stuff works really good. And when you make that mistake, you know what one I'm talking about. It doesn't hurt as bad, this low temperature stuff, so that's cool. I just kind of run over the seam another time. And I'm using my YouTube voice again. Just like a Jack Black type of accent. I don't know why I do it. Okay. I set it down there just like that. And this burns 2 seconds. A foot, apparently. And I've been putting this in there. I'm just gonna do it the same. Always be consistent. Although this is probably unnecessary work that I'm putting into this, but oh, what would you know? Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture this part, but